To introduce today's panelists, first one is Ms. Chen Yixin, the Chief Planner of Shenzhen Land Planning and Land Resource Committee. We can call she is like the mother of Futian district. She's been working in this district since the 80s. And next to her, it's Naifei from SOM. He's responsible for urban design at SOM. So SOM has been contributing a lot since 1998. And he's gonna share with us their reflections for the district. And next to him, it's Mr. Huang Weiwen. He's the director of Shenzhen Public Arts Center, and he's been working with Chen Yixin for many years. And he's also contributed heavily into the urban planning in Futian district. And the new heat of the city, North Tower of Ping An Bank, is under responsibility of Mr. Huang as well. And he's a longtime friend of KPF. And next to him is Li Mu. He's the executive director of Ping An. And we know this Ping An Tower will be completed by the end of the year. It's going to be the new landmark of the city, and we also have the developer on the panel to share their insights and comments. And finally, it's Mr. Li Mingyi. Maybe you don't know him very well. He actually worked with the Chen Yixin together at the early days. He's the consultant, a Chinese-American. The reason I'm talking about him is that he's my uncle. I know he's the architect. I didn't know that he has such a profound relationship with the city. And it only came to me rather lately when I was preparing the presentation. So I called my uncle and asked him to share with us some of his insights for the city. And me personally, I'm from KPF. I've been involved in the Ping An Tower since 2009. So that means I've been working in the city for 9 years. If you don't understand the city very well, let me go through this slide with you. This is the 9 new buildings that will define the city in 2016. Ping An Center is one of them. I'm not putting the slides here because I'm involved in this project. I actually want to allude to these other cities like New York, Taipei, Miami, London, and Washington. These are very old cities, and Shenzhen is very young, for only more than 30 years of life. Now Shenzhen is ranked among the other peer cities. That's something profound for the city. This is Shenzhen in 1983. That's how it looks like. This is year 2015. So that's the drastic change for merely 3 decades. And that drastic change actually has a lot to do with the effort from Miss Chen Yixin. This is the high-speed rail between Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Hong Kong. After Ping An Bank, you can see the high-speed rail goes all the way to IFC, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou. So as you can see, Shenzhen is becoming more and more important in Pearl Delta. That is the development of the city. In a nutshell, we started in Luohu. We said the city has developed like a line, and then it goes from Luohu to Futian, but still it's the center of the region, and then it goes to Hohai and Qianhai. This is also a quote from Ms. Chen Yixin. She said, Shenzhen is a city built upon blueprints of the city plan, a miracle in the history of the city planning. Futian Central District is a great example. As you can see, this is a place developed from scratch for 30 years. I have some historical lineups from the Futian district, but I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Chen Yixin. This is the location of Futian. That's exactly the center of the special zone of Shenzhen, like Mr. Yu said. Futian CBD is developed exactly according to the blueprint of the city as the second CBD after Luohu. So coincidentally, in 1981, the master plan of the city has established that the Futian CBD is going to be the city center of Shenzhen. And in 1992, it's been positioned as a financial CBD center. So the function has been implemented. That means the financial sector is prosperous now, but the form is not actually fulfilled as the city center. That's why we have this topic today called Re-centralization in Futian. Just for your reference, the difference for the past 35 years. So before 1996, Futian CBD has only these a handful of projects, and most of the projects have been constructed after 1996. It's been developed in 4 stages, and now it's been 95% of the projects have been constructed. So the 4 stages. In the first stage, from conceptualization to land acquisition. In the second stage, it's about master planning, construction of the road network. In the third stage, we have public investment to drive the market. In the fourth stage, we have implemented the planning and financial functions of the region. That's the pictures for the past 20 years.
So that is a great change. In 1987, Futian CBD was just in a remote area. It's empty land under the root of the mountain, that is Shenzhen Boulevard. So this is Lianhua Mountain at the foot of the mountain in 1990. At the time, Futian district was just established. That was the photo in 1990. Then in 1992, the confirmed controlling master planning. This is Futian CBD in 1994, the area view. So the road network just started its construction. It's empty land and also the old Gangxia village and some planned buildings and other buildings. This is the model in 1995. The Twin Tower is the current location for the convention and exhibition center of Shenzhen, close to Shenzhen Ping'an Finance Center. That's the master plan in 1995. This is in 1996. John Lee, their firm, they were awarded for the urban design and the civic center. So this time, it's the first time that the central axis extended from the 2D to 3D, starting from here. So for the building, that in addition to the urban design, another important thing is civic center, which is a red, yellow, and blue building in the center. That building is based on the scheme of John Lin for implementation. That was the scheme for during the building stage. This is central axis for the urban design. The urban design along the central axis, they separate between the people, pedestrian, and the vehicle. Based on that, there is also several rounds of further in-depth development. Until now, it's incomplete implementation. So central axis, up to now, we haven't have the complete the line yet. Only part of the scheme has been implemented. This is based on the urban design. We have our statutory document. This is area view photo in 1998. We can see around the CBD already they are established a zone. What is left over is to add the final touch at the central CBD area. So from this perspective, we can see the municipal government over the past years, they have a forward-looking vision to leave this part. That is this waiting for the development after the surrounding area is established. So Futian CBD, it's lucky. So in 1981, the government determines it as the center of Shenzhen special zone, but the land was just reserved until 2005, 10 years ago. We still have more than 10 land parcels used for finance head office building. This is the optimal scheme in 1999. So the underground space planning and ground urban design is further enhanced. This is in 2009 for the Crystal Island and the Civic Plaza, the urban design. The scheme being awarded, not yet implemented. This is a rough process. And now let's have a look about some photos for implementation. This was in 2004. A job site at the central access, the civic center, already put into operation. The big building is the Grand Sheraton building. This is the building in 1999, the view from Lianhua Mountain. This is in 2000 the CBD, its growth. This is in 2003. Civic Center about to finish, then finished in 2004. This is 2006, 2011. So for the central axis, based on the previous plan, it's further developed gradually, but not yet fully implemented. I believe later there will be better enhancement. Up to now, for CBD, 95% of buildings have been completed. That is, our previous plan, about 12 million of the floor area now. Close to 11 million square meters are finished. 64% are for office buildings. So it's realized the CBD combination with the admin, cultural center, and also transport hub. So functionally, it has realized its role of urban center, but in formality, it has not formed the prosperity with more people, and also for providing people for their daily recreation, entertainment, different kind of aspects. That is a pity for us. Therefore, today we will further extend the topic of re-centralization of Futian. Thank you. It's my pleasure to have discussion with you. Over the past 30 years, Shenzhen has developed very rapidly. I believe in the next 30 years, Shenzhen city quality will further improve. Today, my main topic is related to the open space. We believe open space will be for next round of city update and environment quality improvement. That will be the focus. So this combined with our previous city planning project in 1998, the research and conservation. For that project, it's in Futian, the Central Park, west part of southern part of Shenzhen Boulevard. For the original planned road network, you can see here, it's 70 hectares. So for the open space, it's relatively small. For the north part, the north parcel, they have the good view, but in the center, in the hinterland of the area, there's not too much value of the landscape. Our idea is that we hope we can add open space for the area, both east and west, to have the parks. Through addition of open space, then the value can be further extended to the hinterland. Based on that, in the planning, we also add this grid system for the road network. So with this available, then through city urban design, we can further providing the limit elements for the buildings. Then we can define the street space, park space, the tower they are arranged along the park. Then we can have a better value attraction. For the two parks, that is the focus of the scheme. On the one hand, they are different in forms. On the other hand, for the future implementation, they are designed differently. So this is to distinguish two different plots. Between the two parks, our idea was to have like a Lantern Street. Lantern Street to combine the Linan climate, like this arcade street, a minimum of 3 meters wide, and behind it there will be some retail entertainment area, so we can provide the area suitable for pedestrian. After 10 years of development, the region has been completed. The project, from the urban design perspective, its implementation is quite complete to fully reflect the previous urban design aspirations for urban street scale and the spatial layout relationship. After several years of development, we are thinking for this region, what further enhancement do we need for the public space, street space? In the future, there will be further space for improvement. Now, there are some issues. Some is like an urban management issue. Some is a street landscape design issue, like for the motor vehicles, it's parking that's still just random. Then for the greening, it's not yet completed, or the street view furnishing looks too simple. Besides, we feel for the park the space, there's still value for further improvement. So after the two parks are implemented, yes, they become important features for society. For the east, more wood, and for the west, more open space. Then for the west, we can add some trees. Then we can have more shading effect in the rainy season. Then for the city's public space for both the park, street view, and the utilization of the arcade, I think that further aspect for improvement. This will become the future, including this region, the Futian district area, for the spatial quality improvement, the important key point. So we hope we can build better street view and environment. But if you have this random roadside parking, it would destroy this pedestrian environment. So we can deploy some new parking space around, or leverage the DD taxi or this car hailing service. Then we can save the demand for private car to park here. For the east and west park, we also have the reshaping comprehensively, as mentioned earlier. For the west park, it has less trees. So when we have the modification, the underground space, we can have the local parking space. Then above the ground, we can have more landscape enrichment, like introduce more colorful biological modalities, and also add the recreational facilities. The purpose is that we can have more activities related to the public art, provide rich experience for the people. For some streets, yes, they already have, they do not have the trees yet, so we hope for these areas we can have more green streets. In the summer, it can have better shading effect. Meanwhile, help for clean the air, providing better quality. Besides, for some details, they are also very important for the urban quality, like the street furniture, the pavement. For those element enhancement, they can improve the environmental quality of the area and also enhance the features here. So today, people are paying more attention to so-called smart city or pedestrian pleasant city. So for the previous, the lighting on the street, they are more for the motor vehicle to travel. But for the future, for the park space, there will be more light for people, for pedestrians. And on the evening, it can provide safe environment. Besides, for smart city, you have a lot of content which relate to the smart public space. Now, along with the internet technology development and the mobile development, many interact with the city. For example, for the future landscape further improved, then there will be interactive lighting, water view through mobile app. You can have interaction. So our purpose is to provide more interesting and charming and active public space for the city. Besides, the central government is also advocating for the rainwater management system to develop the coastal city concept. This content can also be combined with the stormwater park, the wetland of the park, the water accumulation ditch. These functions can be combined. This is important aspect for us to improve the public space. Finally, we hope through this diversified street space quality improvement, we can enhance the charm of the area. Then this can further enhance its business attraction for one area. It's called center. The reason is that it can attract people here. So we believe a more charming public space can attract more people to come here to work, to enjoy their life, so that will be a better CBD. This is a very good plan arrangement. So just the previous speaker talking about the SOM, the street blocks. So here for me, I would like to have further elaboration about some practice improvement. So Ms. Yu, Ms. Chen, they already introduced some information about the CBD. I will just go through this quickly. This was in 1990s, different kind of designs. I feel at that time we are just arranging different houses. And in 1996, we have our urban design. John Lee, the urban design, makes it in good order, making central access, which is more open and continuous. That is the feature. This has laid the foundation for CBD. This central access being open for the layout. This was in 1997. The Japanese architect, he further turned this into the ecological 3D expansion axis. This is in 1999. SOM, they have the street block design. He already explained this just now. This is in 1999. We invited a German design firm to optimize the urban design. The density is further enhanced. Then we have two tower zones. They are symmetrical to each other. This is the local design firms to further develop the access, the block urban design, etc. Then for the central plaza, we have international competition.
A Japanese architect has provided this guiding proposal. The central park is becoming more green. It's like a cloud, green cloud in the center of the city. So the island has been awarded to OMA and Urbanism. They have provided us with this proposal. So in general, the intensifying density of Futian CBD has been growing. We have evolutionary design development, and then we had architectural designs from very many masters. That's the vicissitude of Futian CBD. So my question is that with so many good planning and architectural design and transit facilities, does that always mean a good city center? So that's a good question I think we all need to ask ourselves. So I want to use this Tencent heat chart to see the attraction of Futian. This week, not many people in the week. If going south, it's less population. But if it goes to the bookstore, it's much more, and to the mountain, it's less population. In the middle, we wanted to have more population, but it looks like the pedestrian is just moderate. It's not as good as we have expected. So when you compare with the village in Huang and Shuiwei, it's overwhelmed by those villages. That means the center of the city is not attracting many people. So I think the reason being that this road network has been separated by the motor vehicles. So this center is not accessible to pedestrians. That's where we need to improve. Like Mr. Chen has introduced that how SOM has developed the pedestrian the roads. This is the only pedestrian road in the plan, but it's not completed as we have expected. So it's curb, the elevation, the gutter, manhole. Those are all the problems with this pedestrian road, and many the places have been occupied by the cars. The arcades, the height of the arcades, and connection of the buildings are all problematic. We wanted to improve that. We have hired some architects from all over the world to consider another plan. This is the plan. This is the modified result, and the elevation has been raised a little bit. So under the glass, sometimes it's manhole, sometimes it's the car. Actually, we crushed the car that has been parked there for ages. It's now buried under the glass. So this is the final result. And the elevation is also at the same between the roads, and the fences in the middle of the road is now removed. So the pedestrian-centric proposal is something we want to replicate because we want to re-establish the pedestrian system in the Futian CBD, including the Central Plaza. This is a very big plaza, but it's not accessible to the people. So we wanted to guide people to travel through the center park. And the road is actually segregating the accessibility. And I think we can add more buildings because we have very good metro system. And so we can revitalize the center. So finally it could be like this. We can actually add new and more functions inside the city center without compromising the greens to revitalize the central plaza and better utilize the land resources. And this way can expand it to Lianhuashan directly. This is the connection between Lianhua Mountain and Meilin. We call it the Zhongkang High Park. So we can use the footbridge to connect the mountain to the North Mountain in Meilin. And in the middle, we can actually do some social housing to make sure our younger generation can live in the city center. This is some of the renderings we had. That's the connection in Piazza and to the north of North Mountain of Meilin. Then we look at the Huang village in the south of the central shaft. And Professor Du Jian from Hong Kong University also shared this proposal of extending the shaft to the south using elevated rails or other transportation methods. Maybe you can use these elevated transport facility to connect the center with the neighborhood. That's a very good thing. Actually, the city has the technology. This is the light rail system announced by BYD this month. This elevated system can be used to improve the Futian center in terms of the transportation facility, and it's also going to be good for the experience. So we hope the city shaft is not only a landscape, but also an extension to both north and south. And we hope to create a system out of it to connect the Futian district and to make the entire district a pedestrian-friendly district. That concludes my presentation. Thank you. So I think the arrangement in both Shenzhen, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou actually reflects the new heat of the urban development this round. Shenzhen has most of the 300-meter high buildings in China. So the topic of the forum is highly relevant to the city. So I think it's very inspiring for all of us, be it professionals, government officials, or developers. And I think we can all learn from it, this forum. That's why I want to thank the organizing committee. And secondly, we know this session is about re-centralizing Futian Center. And we know Ping An Bank, the tower of 600 meters will be ready by the end of the year. That is the most important landmark of Futian. But now, how can we connect the tower with the region? So, as the responsible developer, Ping An Bank is also working closely with the government and the citizens, as well as professionals, to find out solutions for further optimization or revitalization. We know after we will create 1,500,000 more jobs with this new tower. So that means more population in Futian. We know Shenzhen as the mega city. The load of population should be optimized through this project. So we're not only considering vertical development, but also the horizontal development. As the developers, we want to help the government and the citizens to connect the tower with the city in the neighborhood to create a more comprehensive space, because eventually everything in the city is serving the people. The most important thing is the experience of the people. So in Futian district, we are talking to the government authorities recently. We want to contribute to the revitalization of the city center with our opinions. We know the financial CBD of Futian has been established already. And in the early days of the master plan, we have a very strong central shaft. There we have civic centers, plazas and greens, hotels and offices, and the tower is also on the west side of the central shaft. So we want to further optimize this place. And we've chosen some case studies for reference. Globally, this is a local design. The north-south tower of Ping An and its extension passes in the south. And we talked about the circulation of pedestrians and transport ports in the neighborhood. So at the beginnings, we have been only talking about this part of land, but recently we want to expand the project vertically and horizontally into the greater Futian district. So we have identified some use cases globally and domestically. And we look at the pedestrian systems. We want to use a three-dimensional construction to enhance the space quality in Futian. It's not just about pedestrian space, but also a socializing platform for people. So we looked at the Zhizhe footbridge system, and we also looked at the central bridge of Hong Kong. Another one is the Highland Park in New York, which is a popular topic recently. In Zhizhe, KPF has been involved in that project as well. And you see in this project, inside a CBD center, all we need to optimize the pedestrian space inside a CBD, which has already been designed and constructed. So the different zoning and its relationship to the towers and the greens. Unfortunately, the implementation is not done entirely. It's only implemented in the orange spaces because the land title belongs to different developers. So it's very problematic if you consider that in the later stage. But the pedestrian system in Zhizhe has been highly acclaimed by the citizens because the footbridge has actually enhanced the pedestrian experience. And with this connection, the buildings are connected in the neighborhood. It's a region that's being constructed. This is another example in central Hong Kong. Two strengths of the project is that there are not many developers, so mostly developed by a handful of developers. And in Hong Kong, the government also has some preferential policies. That's why you see in central Hong Kong, the footbridge is more well integrated with the buildings. So it's more successful to some extent, but it's only limited to pedestrians only. So the different functions are connected with the pedestrian facilities. This is the central pedestrian connection. So the subway, buses, and port facilities are connected in a three-dimensional way across different buildings. This is the vertical space at different level and elevation, and that's something we want to emulate in Futian because they are taking better utilization of the vertical spaces in Hong Kong. This is another hot topic recently, New York Highland Park. It's unique because it has a rail track space, and this rail track has been optimized and developed further, but it's not just for pedestrian system. It actually provides a public space with multiple functions and uses. So for developers, this is just a design case, but it actually brings us with more inspiring thinkings. The Highland Park, after the first and second stage of construction, the land value has changed drastically. This is a number only for your reference, but you can see a public space opening to the community can actually brings you with more value for the entire region.
This is also for the established area of city for the self-improvement, a very good model. Of course, the Highland Park of New York, it has special features because they already have the elevated the rail track, but the idea can be combined with each local cities. So for the urban public space, it's not the free investment by the society, by the government. They want to have better urban development for the motivation and value behind it. That is what we think for New York Highland Park is good reference for urban development. So here we can see this is not just done in one shot based on special features, and it has been developed in several stages. In Futian district, we hope if we can reach the consensus between the government and the developers, if there's a good design, it's also possible that to implement by different stages, then Futian different nodes can be elevated. That's why Ping An right now we hope work together with the government, with the professionals and the public to discuss how to further enhance the quality of Futian. This is only for our South Tower and North Tower design. The platform crossing the city, now it's being implemented along with the South Tower construction. The space will be realized. So our idea is through the public connection between the two plots. So at the top of the podium, there will be the open space, and we'll have the observatory. In the hotel of the South Tower, we have the public open space. So both vertical and horizontal space can be connected. This is our idea for the project implementation. Here you can see for the three-floor platform. How do we open this to the public? This will be 24 hours open to the public, to the citizen. So we hope through the project, the Futian district, we can provide this 2 or 3 floor of the public space as a starting point. This is the layout plan. You can see at the top of the podium. It's not just the architectural plan. What's more is that for the people, for the pedestrian to walk, the feeling like that. Meanwhile, it provides different open space to provide for the citizen. So this is our thinking for the project. We hope through Ping An South Tower and North Tower to open up the second floor and third floor platforms. Then the Futian three-dimensional open space can be opened. So here we can see for the east-west rapid transport and the distance among different buildings. It has enlarged the space between space and the pedestrian. We hope with the government support here in Futian, based on South Tower and the North Tower of Ping An FC, we can further enhance the area. Mainly for the 3D space, we can provide public open space serving the citizens, including we can combine it with the current greening to emphasize the central axis of Shenzhen, of Futian. Then we can attract the people coming around to Futian CBD to enhance the prosperity here. This is our preliminary concept. So different functions, we want to further link them together. This is from development perspective, our ideas. Of course, just not different experts. They have their also own concepts. This can be direction for our discussion. The main purpose is that we hope Futian, based on current status, through some new design approach and languages, it can be further improved so that we can become the good environment for the transit here. This is what Ping An is starting right now. Thank you. In 2009, when I came to Shenzhen for the first time, I had a question for Futian district. As Mr. Huang mentioned just now, it's not so prosperous with the people here. But for people across the Shenzhen Boulevard, many people are there. This is the area where people are willing to go. So I had a question: why there is such a Shenzhen Boulevard which divide the Futian district from north to south? This time, when I make a preparation, I noticed previous master planning act above Shenzhen Boulevard there is also central design. So the urban park will cross Shenzhen Boulevard to link the two parks together. So that is my question that I would like to know. Why there is such a boulevard? So we mentioned that, so for Futian, it's lack of connection, or the walkable areas, etc. This is directly related to the Shenzhen Boulevard crossing that area. Why? Why the previous design idea is not realized? Maybe you invite Ms. Chen first. Okay, I would like to say first, Shenzhen Boulevard. So when the Shenzhen Special Zone was established in the master planning, so Shenzhen Boulevard is the central part among the 3 main east-west trunk roads. This is for living purposes. So we have Shenzhen Boulevard in the center, then we have Binhai Coastal Boulevard on the south and Beihuan Boulevard on the north. That was already determined at the beginning of the master plan of Shenzhen Special Zone. So the original special zone is just a belt shape, 49 kilometers by 7 kilometers. So therefore, there's such a trunk road that was established at the beginning. So for CBD, when we confirm the site to have the first conceptual planning, people all agree Shenzhen Boulevard have divided the CBD into the north and the south. That's the idea of the plan. How can we link north with the south part? So for the linkage between the two, we waited for 30 years. Then we will finally have this I call final touch. So besides Mr. Huang, you mentioned the data very interesting in the Futian district. is the area requiring to attract more people here. So now we are working with Ping An and the government to do the work. As Mr. Li mentioned, now in Lujiazui, at the beginning they had several similar situations. We helped the government to do the work, how to connect the building together. But during actual implementation, very difficult, as Mr. Li mentioned, for different projects, different developers. So for developers, they resist. Why do you cross my project? So for the implementation, for the yellow portion, it took 4 to 5 years. For the surroundings, like the light rail, the landscape park, still not realized. So I would like to know from the government authorities and also Mr. Huang, from the client owner perspective. So during the actual implementation, for different stakeholders, the owner, designer, the government authorities, how can we realize the idea? Actually, now I'm not working in the government department. I'm not representing the government to answer this question. However, what I know is that people all realized the construction of Futian CBD is not completed yet. Require further improvement, including for the pedestrian system. Futian district government, together with the Transport Commission and other research institute to have the pedestrian system improvement of CBD. For the scheme last year, they were already start the scheme preparation. What I said just now, as SOM 2 block pedestrian street, this is what we are promoting. As the business unit of government, we are promoting that. So the scheme we prepare, trying to convince the Futian district government to invest, to improve. This is a process of perfection. If we just compare it to the home, this is a process of fine, refined decoration. At the beginning, it's just the coarse, crude decoration for the CBD. Not only it's not so convenient for connection. So the theme of today's forum is the tall buildings. Actually, CBD already have a lot of high quality tall buildings. Both KPF, SOM, you have designed some buildings for Shenzhen, for CBD. For the tall buildings, we can give the score of like 70 to 90 points. But for the ground level of the tall buildings, if we see the ground level, they hardly pass the standards. So the elevation difference, the deformation, the distortion. So as the overlap between the tall building and the ground, there is certain, even I call it crack. So for Shenzhen, the ground level in CBD, it failed to pass the criteria. So the owner, they all put their focus, attention to the tall part, but for people's experience, people's usage are all at the ground level. So right now, we need to further improve from the coarse into the fine decoration part. So for Shenzhen government and the district government, they are also interested. They want to make an effort to change, to improve. So for the ground design, it's also related to the design. It's not just simple to have certain landscape. The architect, they change the pavement. That will be all. No. Now I noticed some way just for replacement of pavement. That's the problem. For the ground, it's a new system for people to live, to transport, to interact. For that system, this requires the attention from us, like what we pay attention to the tall buildings, to the landmark buildings. We need to pay same great attention, and we hope the good architects here, you are also willing to design a good slope, good ground, or like the altar, etc. Then the city urban system can have higher quality, to have systematic high quality. So for this topic is diverse, because just now we mentioned about New York Highline Park for land value appreciation. Why do I talk that case studies? Because in a lot of cases, for the construction project. The developers, different departments, they are doing the operation at late stage. Secondly, for their positioning, they feel that they have their own objective quite clearly. So for Ping An, we talk to the professionals, realize that's quite a narrow sense of the value. For the city, it's a platform, open platform for the public. So for both space, function, or the retail, or for the urban service for supporting facilities, like the systematic, the zoning, common use, it will be big value for your own development. So Lujiazui of Shanghai is not yet fully implemented, but it's just a small part. However, here, the one part we can share, as we know, Lujiazui, they have the Zhengda Plaza, which was the earliest designed at the early stage of comprehensive commercial buildings. So when we have the pedestrian system, so the big resistance is from this Zhengda Plaza because this is the inward commercial retail part with big people's flow. They think the system help to them is little help, but later on, through the government support and effort, they agree that on the second floor to have an opening on the second floor. Then 1 year later, they thank the government a lot. Why? Because after this is opening is available, then the people's flow is not reduced but improved by 70%. So you can see for this retailing, the people's flow is the most important part for them.
So sometimes your judgment may not necessarily be true. With the shared space, it's actually you're getting even better. So that's what happened in Lujiazui. It's not what you expected. So a better convenience for people is actually enhancing the entire region. You're not sacrificing anyone for the sake of the other. So in Ping An, we are willing to work with the government to improve and enhance the design to further improve the city in a three-dimensional way. So I want to respond a little bit. I agree with what Mr. Huang said. The most important space of the city is on the ground floor. So you can see many piazza on the second and third floor because they exist for a reason. So in some cities, it's suitable. For instance, very hot or very cold place or very populated place, they need these piazzas. But in many other cities, the piazza on the second floor is something you have to do sometimes. For instance, in Lujiazui, it's not a very bad result, but they have this system because the road network is serving the motor vehicles. It's very wide. They also have Zhengda Plaza and East Pearl, attracting many people. That's why you have to have this piazza or footbridge on the second or the third floor. But it's not something we all need to embrace because we do many urban designs in many developers and the government are taking it for granted. But if we can provide a better ground space connections on the street level or the green level, people don't maybe necessarily want to go up and downstairs. In cities like Shanghai where it's an aging population, senior people still want to travel on the ground floor instead of climbing ladders. So we talk about the road network design. So we can see many cities in China, we are constructing roads, not serving the people. That's why before 80s, it's more like cities because you have a street life. But now the road is getting wider and wider. There is no street life. So it's quite complicated engineering. It's a municipality design, including the pipelines. You need to deal with the subways. You have landscape elements. You need to connect with other structures. It's a complicated issue, but in the past, the street design is done by one architect or one firm. They are not actually catering for the seniors or the younger generation sometimes. So I think that's where we can improve in both Shenzhen and China. So let me respond a little bit. Because this is a process of inspiring each other. So I think we're on the same page, like Mr. Chen said. The people like the ground floor. So we want to walk on the ground floor instead of climbing ladders, unless it's very attractive in the retail space. But it's very strange and unique in Shenzhen. In Futian, if you want to do a second level connection, it's like you have to do in the first place. It's not like that you have to do it now after 30 years of development. You have to do it at the beginning. The first version of the transportation planning in Shenzhen in 1985 has mentioned the bus transit first, and they also proposed the separation between pedestrians and motor vehicles. And we learned that from Hong Kong. So in the city center, if you need to separate the cars from the people. So people need to walk on the second floor, and the car want to use this surface. We had this idea in 1985, but we haven't done this up to now. Taking Futian as an example, so that's a little bit different in Shenzhen. The Shenzhen, in the first place, has realized the value of the land. We do have the double size compared with Hong Kong, but we still have very limited land resource. So it's a very good opportunity today. So Mr. Chen, Mr. Huang are very important people for the urban planning in Shenzhen. It's not easy for us as KPF to see them always. As a Shenzhen citizen, I want to share with you some of my opinions on Shenzhen Futian Center. The PN developer talked about the two case studies, one in Lujiazui, another one in Hong Kong Central. So our company is involved in both of those projects as well. So maybe I can share with you some of the problems we have seen during the process. In Lujiazui, the CICC Center, we wanted to have a piazza on the second floor and on the basement level in the beginning. So we worked with SOM together. We wanted this to happen, and we reserved the space in our retail mall. But we have different developers in the process. Looks like the result is good, including the Zhengda Plaza. Very interesting with that one is that when they have started to connect the entrance on the second floor now is the main entrance, but at the beginning they have designed the entrance across Huangpu River. That's the charm of this connection. The Apple Store is the end of the connection, but now it's another hub of this plaza system. So I think the piazza on the second floor is really interesting sometimes. And we also work in the CICC Center in Hong Kong in 1996. When I joined the company, I had a question mark in my mind. I asked myself, why the flagship in the retail space is never on the ground floor? It's always on the second floor. Because that's most convenient for the pedestrian. Because if you go to the CICC Center in Hong Kong, IFC Center in Hong Kong, the first floor is actually the second floor in Shenzhen. Going back to Futian, I lived in Futian district all the time, but it's not connected. So I want to ask the panelists here. Last year, the Futian subway highway station is opened, and I used that the second day. So it's looks like it's 14 minutes of travel between ICC and Ping'an. So when we designed the ICC, the West Kowloon is a silo, but now the internal circulation is connected. So when I came to Shenzhen, I felt strongly the Metro Line 1, 2, 3, 4, and 11 looks like it's not accessible by the pedestrians. The scale is too much for the pedestrians. Normally, it's 1 kilometer apart between the stations. Nobody will use that system that way. And I think I want to ask you, I think there is a big opportunity in Shenzhen, Fujian. Whether Shenzhen CEC Conventional and Exhibition Center will be there forever, because we know there is another convention center coming up in west part of Shenzhen. So in the neighborhood, we have a Huang village. Now we want to connect the high intensity and the low intensity parts of the city. And I think Shenzhen CEC can be revamped. And the third question is that we know the center of the Shenzhen in the mind of the government is now in Qianhai. What is the positioning for Futian going forward? So I believe Ms. Huang, Ms. Chen knows Shenzhen better. Personally, I think Futian Center is still going to be a very important center of the city. Shenzhen is a city of more than 10 million population. It's a very big economy. That's why you need party centers. So Futian is continuing to be a very important financial and political and cultural center of the city. So of course we want to create a life center as well. That's very important because Futian is right in the center of the city. So when you're coming to Futian, you can enjoy your life in the bookstore. You can enjoy some music festival. The distance is still accessible because it's in the center of the city. While as to Qianhai and Hohai, I think there are different subcenters of the city. Going forward, I think Futian Center will not be replaced entirely. And another question you had was the lack of accessibility. That's true, because the city of Shenzhen has been planned in the modern age. It started with the motor vehicle. That's why the scale is too much for the pedestrians. So we hope the urban master plan of Shenzhen need to be transformed. So going back to people from the motor vehicles, the scale should be more refined. And we now have restricted land resources, more and more population. So the distance between the structures should be intensified and closed for the convenience of people, but also for the land efficiency. And I think that's something possible. So we need our researchers and architects and urban planners to work together. And of course, we need to change the mindset of the decision makers. Because now in Shenzhen and China now, we're still using too many cars. It looks like the car is the center of the focus, but I think we need to transcend that point, and we need to go back to the pedestrian-centric society to give people the best experience and comfortness or convenience. Anything from Ms. Chen? I fully agree with what Mr. Huang has said. So I want to thank you for your question, for the gentleman from New Honky. That's the most important issue. Shenzhen is different. It has 35 years of history. Since its birth, it's been positioned as a multi-center, belt-like city, unlike the other cities in China. The other cities started from monocenter, and we started from polycenter. That's why you don't need to worry about the position of the Futian, despite the growth of Qianhai, because they are different centers with different functions. Like you said, the Futian center has high-speed rail. It's connecting Beijing and Hong Kong. That's why you can see it's very important as a center, and also it's a main financial center.
It has more than 10 financial head offices, more than 1 million square meters of financial office buildings. So for this center, this will not affect the previous Luohu, Caiwu Wei central function. It's still the center there. So in the future, after Qianhai is set up, it will not affect the central position of Futian CBD. So Shenzhen polycentric, it's like differentiated. They are not mutually covering or replacing each other. So for the urban center, it's further expanded. The scale, the size of city is further expanded. This is my understanding about the concept. Yes, you mentioned just now, for Futian CBD underground, 7 rail track lines passing through this. For the national planning maps, you cannot find the second city which has this case. 7 rail track lines. The most important thing is, as you mentioned, among the three, the pedestrian connection among the lines. This will be a future improvement for us for the focus. I would like to ask Mr. Li Mu to answer. So Qianhai, now it's the hot topic of Shenzhen. Ping'an, you put your tallest building in Futian, spend so much effort and resources. So we cooperate with Ping'an a lot. This is the only project that basically don't have any cost requirement for us. So I would like to ask Li Mu. So on such trend, why do you still choose your building in Futian? So for this project in 2005, we communicated with the government. The information we got at that time is the Futian CBD is positioning as the center of financial sector. From Ping'an perspective, our basics like insurance, finance, that is our main direction to go, including our real estate with the financial real estate as the system for development. So here, its positioning is the same as the positioning of Futian. Therefore, for financial CBD of Futian, we think we are close to that. We share the same vision. Therefore, we built this 600-meter tall towers in Futian. So I feel Shenzhen, yes, it is a belt, multi-cluster, multi-block development. So Shenzhen government, as long as it has a clear position for different districts, than Futian district based on the CBD, it should be very sustainable. We have strong confidence for that. Okay, thank you, Mr. Li.
In Shenzhen, if he has to give a score to all the projects and all those tall buildings, he can give 70, 80, even 90. But if come down to the ground floor design, he will fail all the project. So as a chairman of a tall building council, I want you to comment on that.
Tough question. I do throw it back to Mr. Huang, though, because I do find it a challenge when we design in China, especially when it comes to designs of podiums, because the zoning conditions are quite difficult in our point of view, because of the setbacks. In certain conditions, you have to set back very far from the street edge. The number of ramps that we have to provide on each site makes the planning of each site extremely difficult, green ratio, and so forth and so forth. And so it sort of forces the buildings into a kind of an island in and amongst themselves. So they sort of retreat from the sidewalk and pull themselves into the center. So I think that's part of the challenge as well. And so I'm just curious, is there any way or any sort of discussion in terms of, say, taking some of the already existing buildings in Futian but allowing them to kind of infill out or to expand back out to the street, sort of as part of this sort of regeneration in Futian with the bridges and the landscape? Is there an opportunity for the buildings themselves to begin to respond and adapt and sort of push back out to create streetscapes and help the buildings meet the ground?
I asked David, you mentioned, Mr. Huang, you talk about 70 to 90 points for tall buildings, but the field for the ground. So as the architect, I believe each architect, they do not just think for the tall buildings. I believe they also want to have the ground condition bad. So David also mentioned just now. So in China, to do the design, that's a big challenge because for the planning requirement, the setback requirement, the tower, different setbacks for the podium, for each side, how many ramps. For Ping An, we need to have 3 ramps. After you meet all the planning requirements, then for the ground, there's no more to design. So David, he mentioned also now, we are talking about the Futian Revitalization for the ground change. Is it possible for existing buildings to push back so the podium can extend so that there will be like a street wall or Ms. Chen, from planning perspective, from a government perspective, do you think if it's possible? About the setback of the building. It's a very good question, actually. But I feel in Shenzhen, we already solved the issue. I remember when I just came to Shenzhen as a young planner, I encountered a lot of Chinese urban planning issue. They told you the building you need to have the setback. The road in front of your building, the wider you will have more setback. The reason for setback is that for Chinese road, maybe in the future the road will be broadened, so you better have more setback. Second is for firefighting purpose, for the escalation. Some architects, they are willing to proactively to setback. If I can have certain setback, there will be the empty space. Then for people to observe, to enjoy my building, it will be better space. That's the 3 main reasons. Therefore, for Chinese urban planning, require the buildings for different setbacks. Then in 1999, we invite SOM, Felix, to help us to bring the U.S. street concept, including the zero setback, suggest using the arcade of southern Chinese style. So then after that, Shenzhen, for both Futian district and other district for the urban design, we have a guideline or criteria that is, if you provide the shading for the pedestrian, then you can have zero setback. For the building, zero setup. I remember for Ping An project, we also request along the shopping park, it's a zero setback. Provide arcade. And also we suggest the site is long to provide the inner courtyard, but it's pity that we did not see that. So I feel in Shenzhen, for urban design, we already realize the importance of the street, importance of pedestrians. I mentioned the ground field to pass the credit. The more is because of the construction quality. The architect, the ground, compared with the pedestrians road, is not a good connection. For some architecture firm, their design, maybe it's not the issue of the architect, it's more like the constructors, their issue. You have the facade, I want to make sure the quality, but for the ground is on people's foot, then people will not, they will not pay attention. Then as time goes on, there will be the sediment, etc. So for obstacle-free, this is also for some architects that cannot meet the purpose. This is the issue, what I mean. Ms. Chen, do you have some supplement? Thank you, David. Yeah, this is also, I call it the pain point for us over the past years. We already realized issues. However, because our code, the code is not yet changed in time, because to change, to improve modify the code, you need a certain time to turn around. Therefore now, the reason we still stay with the model is I call it our habitat, the big street, the big plot, or even similar to 1950s, like the former Soviet Union, the trunk road, the minor road, the branch road, the road standard. So for our national professionals, they already realize this, including for the road transport discipline practitioners. From Beijing top leaders, they will start to improve, to change. For the urban center, we should not use like the trunk road, minor road, branch road, etc. If we continue like that, we cannot change the setback. Therefore, we need to improve from the fundamental source, that is to improve and to modify the code. Ping An, this building, when I was young, for the skyscraper, for the urban design, I'm very interested. So for Ping An, starting the IFC, starting the construction, this year is about to finish. From the primary, the junior high school, senior high school, until I'm now a university student, it's growing with me. So for the masterpiece, I feel quite excited. So if it's separate, isolated, it's very perfect, works with a very good styling. However, including a lot of my classmates, they come to Shenzhen, I introduce this to them. They will notice a very interesting phenomenon that Ping An, compared with the surrounding building blocks, the height is not matching with the surrounding buildings. For other buildings, like Carry, the Shangri-La Hotel, the Excellence, the SBD, they are like a 200-meter level, including the other building blocks, 13 blocks and 17 blocks. The tallest is like 230 meters. For Ping An, I have say 600 meters tall. It looks that it's much taller than others. Maybe some people feel for the skyline, maybe it's not a contribution to the skyline. So for the South Tower of Ping An, actually I'm not clear about that. I was thinking that if the height of the South Tower is 450 meters, then Ping An project will have good transition with the CBD. But now South Tower is only less than 300 meters tall. Then, compared with the Carry construction, is just slightly above that. Then I'm asking for the planning, including for the old project in CBD, like shopping park project. Maybe you also know that for the north part of Coco Park, it's very old, including for our generations. We just gave up those areas. We just go to Coco Park. So now for the location for Coco Park, for current city complex, now you have the office building, then you have the retail. But Coco Park, very strange. Just the ground retail, no above ground office building. Maybe that's the historical issues. So for the planning, my question is that for the later stage for the skyline, is it possible that through the modification on the existing buildings or for the new job site, there will be certain transition for the skyline setup? Yes, it's a very good question. When I climb to mountain Lianhua, I feel same issue. Ping An, I have seen the same. Yeah, I think it has good combination between rigidity and the aesthetics. Yes, it's a pity that Ping An compared with the surrounding is too outstanding for the elevation, big elevation difference. The reason to have that is both inner reason and outer reason. For inner reason is because planning. For the planning, in Futian CBD planning, we leave for the Ping An the side there's no height limit. That's our inner reason. That's maybe the mistake of our planning. Only that plot, no height limit, because we want to have a building which is very tall.
But we didn't expect it to be as high as 600 meters. We thought it could be 300 meters. So that's the internal reason. The external reason would be the different stage in the economic growth. The SOM has designed two clusters or two blocks. Why the buildings are so small? The average FAR is only 6. and in some places, other places, it could be as high as 20, because of the economic development stage. The group designed by SOM happens to be in 1998 and the year 2000, and at that stage, we have seen the Asian financial crisis. That's the terrible time. Nobody would want the land. That's why the buildings were so small. It's mostly designed for small businesses. So, if we design the buildings all as high as Ping An, probably you won't see a constructed Futian as of now. I believe maybe less than 40% has been constructed. But now we are constructed 95% of the time. So it's one step at a time. The office towers in Futian are categorized, I think, in 5 generations. So it grows between generations. Finally, you will get the strongest developers at the beginning. Ping An wouldn't like to invest so much in Futian.